Hello and welcome to Drinking with Comics. This is issue 12. I'm Shawn. That's Mike. And today we have a guest host.
I'm Jessica.
The lovely Jessica Kinni. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I know nothing about comics, and I didn't even know there was a store over here, but I mean, I'll hang because there's beer.
There's beer.
She was actually walking by. She was walking by. She saw Mike walking in with 2 6-packs, and she's like, "What's going on? Can I come in?"
I was like, "Hey, you guys know how to party. Let's do this."
Let's talk about the first time you came in here. Do you remember the first time you walked in?
Why, yes, I do.
Recommended by our good friend Adam Marcus. This is a good, classy family comic shop.
Sure.
And I'd ordered this movie called CB Hustlers, which I thought was a Smokey and the Bandit kind of thing.
And I just came in innocently enough, looking for some Doctor Who comics and just wanting to, you know.
There's a long, extended love scene in that movie. And when I say love scene,
you mean
I mean the kind that Bret Michaels would give himself an aneurysm watching.
Wow.
So I'm in the front of the store looking at like some Dark Horse stuff, and all of a sudden you hear like the 70s porn music.
Oh no.
And you just see Mike running. And I'm like,
Yeah, the
what's
remote
happening?
doesn't reach. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
He's like, oh, nothing at all. And then Adam, my friend Adam comes in and he's like, he tells Adam what happened, and then they tell me, and I'm like, hee hee.
You told me to put it back on, freak.
Whatever, same thing. Judgy, wudgy, whatever.
It's all good.
So, okay, we also, of course, we have Joe Baxter working the guns. Joe. We have science officers Sarah and Aaron here. And we have a live studio audience. Once again, welcome. Thank you guys for coming.
I was thinking you should refer to them as hottie science officers, because I just like that.
I like that.
Hottie science officers.
All right.
They are
Call it as it is, call it as you see it.
Okay.
That's right.
Hottie science officers.
Beam me up. Somewhere.
Beam me up, hottie.
Nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
I'll be doing that for the next
You
hour.
knew you belonged on this show.
I need a hashtag that right now.
Yes.
Are you hashtagging over there already?
Oh, yes, I am.
You know, I've stated before on the website, every time you guys say hashtag, I think of hash browns.
Yeah.
Every
Delicious.
time. Yeah.
Because you're a
just
stoner.
I was thinking about hashtagging the word hashtag, and then what do? You're like hashtag. Like,
So it's like
is that
the
boom
hashtag
boom?
and
Is
then-
that boom the word? I don't know. You gotta figure it out, right?
I think it just happens.
Is it like staring, it's setting a mirror up here and a mirror up here and then staring into one and it just...
The infinity
yeah.
It's mind blown.
Yeah, I think that's
Anybody
actually...
really ever done, have you done
I
that
think
before?
Doctor Strange did. I think that's how he gets everything done, is he just sets up two mirrors,
mirrors
has hash
back to
browns,
back.
and then hashtags.
I like that.
And probably a good amount of hash as well.
Probably, yeah.
Most likely, I would
Keep
think.
it strange.
I like that. Wow, you guys are like... We should just
I'm not warmed up yet.
We just need to have a marketing hoedown right now.
A marketing hoedown.
Yeah.
All your social media needs are going to be covered in issue
Yeah,
12
like-
tonight, so
There you
take
go.
those.
But we're coming after our residuals for them, so just be aware.
That's a real thing.
So okay, tonight. Well, okay, we're drinking. So when I bought the beer, I didn't realize that Jessica is gluten free.
Glutarded.
So, no.
You're
No,
glutarded?
that's what it is. It's glutarded, and I know it.
So what happens when you have gluten? Do you turn
The
into
show would be a
monster?
lot more exciting.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
No, I just get really sick. So
Oh, that's
not
cool.
Oh, I thought maybe you'd like go nuts. Like remember the Cheech and Chong movie where they do the space Coke and he just like rips out of the wall.
No, it's not that bad.
Okay.
It's similar, but
Okay,
different.
that sounds
Okay.
fun.
It's like exactly the same, but totally different. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
kind of like that. Yeah. So, no, I mean, I would live probably, but I mean, I would
Is
not
that
be very
gluten free?
happy.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
gluten-free? Okay.
Cider is
Well,
all
so okay.
good.
So what are you drinking? You're
So,
drinking a hard
because
cider.
Mikey is so good to me, he went out last minute, like 12 minutes before we started, and bought me some delicious Newton's Folly from Trader
Hashtag
Joe's.
warm beer.
Hashtag, I'll drink it because it's gluten-free.
Is it really warm?
And
we
it's
have
delicious.
ice.
Well, we could put it on. we could
Yeah,
put the
I mean, and it's
future editions
cider,
on
so-
ice.
That's true, we could do. And then we also have some NGB, which is not
that this?
gluten. No, that's my sparkling probiotic
Oh,
drink.
that looks really good.
Kavita, it's delicious. Try it. No, but
Kavita, we
also got
want
another-
sponsorship. I'm just saying.
Can you hook my
just
friends
saying,
up,
fair
please?
is fair.
Thank you.
Just a 6-pack.
Or a case
I don't think
or
it's the same.
5.
I don't think you'd sit down and drink
Yeah,
a 6
no.
pack of that. I
Probably
think that would probably
just
not
send
be
me
good.
a bottle so I could taste it.
We picked up Downtown Brown, which is Lost Coast Brewery, which is out of Eureka. Big fan of Eureka, California.
So is that where you discovered this beer?
No, no.
Oh.
Well, I believe I did have it there.
Okay.
I don't remember where I had it first, but it's excellent beer. It's a brown, which I'm a big fan of brown ales. And it's done well. If you'll notice, unlike Newcastle Brown Ale, which admittedly despite the recent revelation that there's high fructose corn syrup in it, which is just gross, you know, as long as it's not in a bottle. We've talked here before about the Newcastle Roulette, where it's a lovely brown ale in a clear glass bottle, so the light gets in. So every other time you buy it, it tastes like Heineken, which is just wrong. You'll notice that this brown ale is in a dark brown bottle to prevent light from ruining the product. And
Smart.
I'm one pint in, and it's delicious. It's got a nice. I don't know, not chocolatey, but
It reminds me of this girl I dated once. It's you know,
Jackie Brown?
downtown brown and kind of nutty.
Wait, was that the
nutty.
VJ?
Yeah, Julie Brown. Yeah.
Right, you dated her.
I
I didn't
never
know
dated
that.
Julie
Oh,
Brown,
okay.
but I did date a girl named Downtown Brown. Cost me $86 a night to be with her.
And that was a bargain.
I don't think that's
stop
dating.
It was like 14% off. But no, it's good. I do like it. It goes down smooth, like this brown did.
Yes.
No, it's delicious.
I blacked out. What?
And you blacked out nothing.
Can you
I don't
explain
know.
that? 'Cause I
I'm
didn't
just
know.
trying to like make a beer review interesting. Okay.
Oh, okay.
No, I like
No,
it.
but what did
It's-
you mean?
I don't know.
Oh.
I'll tell you later.
Okay.
Google it.
So, okay, as we always do, we're going to do the mailbag first.
Okay, let's do it.
So, science
mail.
officers, I'm going to refer to you because
Hottie
thank you. Hottie science officers, I'm going to refer to you. There is a post. So, the Chris Gore episode, we did a kind of a segment where we rated like some of the worst comic book gimmick covers ever. And to follow it up, a longtime viewer who was actually here for that, Chris from Chicago, posted on our Facebook page recently. He did some after school research, and he posted. He got together with some other people, and they brainstormed from their various collections or you know what they knew of, a list of just awful covers. Could you guys, one of you, Hottie Science officers, please provide us with that list? It's pretty good, and I gotta say, like, Chris really impressed me. I didn't really expect that. I knew people liked the segment, but I didn't expect it, like, somebody to actually go and do independent research on it, so it was cool.
He posted a lot of stuff.
He really did.
He says the first Chromium cover was Bloodshot #1.
So, and if you remember, we talked about Chromium where nobody really knows what it is, and I still don't know what it is.
It's only used on comic book covers, right?
It is, right? So, is there anybody whose, like, skeleton is laced with that? Because it would
That's adamantium.
Well, but
Yeah.
I was going to say it would be like the bargain basement, like, you know, can you make me Weapon X? Well, no, but, you know,
Chromium
Would
is
you settle for
Have you
like
heard this thing
$300
called,
we'll lace it with chromium.
You're like, you used to work for NASA, right? Or something.
Okay, I did not work for NASA. I interned. I did a bunch of NASA research
Okay.
in college. I did not work for NASA, but
So, what do you know about
nothing.
Chromium?
Nothing.
Not a
It
thing.
fell from the
Unobtainium.
sky.
Not a. I
Have
did
you heard
math.
about unobtainium?
They
That's
let
from
me
the-
do math.
That's
I
from the
could add
Bad
and
Cat
subtract.
movie.
Anybody in the studio audience ever heard of unobtainium? Yes. Adam, what is it? What back there? Come up to the mic, sir. What is unobtainium?
I believe unobtainium is the ore that was on Pandora and Avatar that was very valuable and they were looking for.
Is Pandora the planet that plays music constantly but doesn't pay the artists very well?
Yes.
Okay, I thought so.
It's where
Okay.
the creep and fern gully is.
So the residuals would actually be the unobtainium.
Yes.
Okay.
So is
gotcha.
it's a
Or the
fictional
neighbors on
element?
Fern Gully.
Okay.
Are
All
they
right.
doing another Avatar, or is that just?
They're doing no,
Yeah.
two
No,
or three
they're doing
right
like
around the corner
9,
over here.
right?
Underwater one.
Underwater
Oh,
one?
speaking of
Like
underwater.
low.
What?
Okay, wait, we're gonna get into
Did
that.
you
Just
read it?
saying. Yeah, I read it already.
Oh wow.
I read it already.
Thank you.
Dude, yeah.
Well
You were just here. You weren't even here for the show.
I'm with them. I was just.
Oh, you are here for the show.
Nah,
Okay,
he
cool.
just wandered in.
Just
You were just bored by the show. Okay, that's all good.
I know what that is.
Hey, I always try to be prepared, and I always mess something up. Would one of you hand me a church key? I had one. I don't know where it went.
I
Pass it
opened
down.
I had like 3.
Oh, I took it.
And they're
It's
all
over
gone.
here, dude.
Ah,
Sorry.
the plot
Yeah,
thickens.
two.
No, well, so give this one back.
Yeah, bring one back.
Okay.
There you go.
Thanks.
Okay, so
Ready for number 2?
yes, so the first Chromium cover was Bloodshot.
Yeah, so then he says Legends of the Dark Knight #1, 1989, believed to be the first variant / gimmick.
I remember.
5 alternate covers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it was the same cover but just different colors. I
yeah,
remember.
blue, orange. Orange looked really good.
I'm just like really frustrated with this whole variant cover thing lately because I was so excited going out to Comic-Con, which I tried to stalk you at, but you were never at your booth.
You show up in the morning. I'm still over.
Because there's a million people otherwise.
You know, like a text at 8 in the morning. Like
I'm doing big things all day. I like tried to like squeeze a little time in there to hang out, and I just
it's
ignored.
okay.
And Mike was passed out.
And he's drunk in a corner.
It was 8
crying,
a.m.
And I'm like, oh, it's okay, baby, it's okay. But no, so I was all excited for the new Doctor Who comics coming out with Titan, and I was like, oh, it's gonna be Doctor Who Day, like this is gonna be awesome. Of course, I could never even like make it over to check out the comics, and I'm online looking at the 300 different variant covers, and I'm like, okay, seriously, like 300, like there's too many. It's not acceptable if you ask me. I think it's taking advantage because clearly I have to have all of them. And
do you collect them all?
Well, I mean, I do my best, you know.
See, there might be a list sometimes.
I think at some point it's just too much. You know, they're capitalizing on this like big, you know.
The obsessive compulsive collecting.
Yeah, because I mean, like people like I got into Doctor Who comics because I loved the show, you know what I mean, and needed more of it, and you know, and since I can't write my own fan fiction because I'm a horrible writer, I figured I should. This is pretty much the same thing, but I just at some point like okay, I get like maybe like a one variant cover or something
when it's special.
There was like 7 or something for David Tennant, I think.
Well, there was the San Diego cover that was for Comic-Con, and there was the regular, and then there was the photo, and then there was
it's too many.
some other.
No, but there was literally like 7 for one of them, and I'm just like, no, I'm not playing your game. Like I'm not going to do it. So I just settled for the
get the ones you like the best.
Yeah,
that's what I always do.
Could you call Titan and be like, listen, Jessica's not happy with this.
We can make that happen. Okay. Yeah, totally. I have a friend who we all know him, Richard, Elephant Man Richard, and he last Tuesday he was at the shop. He's like, you know, I'm gonna do a bad British accent. Are you going to Best Buy today? I was like, no, there's nothing out. What do you mean there's nothing out? There's Doctor Who season 4, volume 2. I'm like, dude, we have those all on Blu-ray, but there's another like bonus feature they put on the DVD. So the Cadillac has already come out. Now they're putting out the Pinto. But with the new, so I mean
it's hurtful.
People capitalize on our goodwill and our fandom.
I'm not a big fan of that. I mean, they do that with. Well, I mean, the most infamous example of that, and it's not comics, is the Beatles. I mean, they've repackaged every Beatles album and greatest hits so many times. It's like, you know what? I'll stick to the vinyl copies of the original albums that I have. That's fine. I don't need anything else. I don't need this because. Remember the one? It was like Love or something. It was like, oh, the first continuous mix by a DJ.
Well, it was for
who cares?
No, it was for a Cirque du Soleil show, I think. Yeah.
That's a good album.
I have it.
We'll
come over and listen to
it.
With
comics, there has to be a law of diminishing returns at some point because you're talking 4-color. And Pantones and special inks, and it's a niche market to begin with. So if you do 7 variant covers, you cannot be making much money.
You want me to tell you how it works?
Yes.
How they do this? So what they'll do is they'll have Doctor Who. These are known as the regular covers. Okay. So maybe the Comic Bug is going to order 8 copies each of these, but in the solicitation they're like, well, if you order 10, you'll get the special David Tennant photo cover, which you can sell for more money to Jessica.
It was okay. It wasn't awesome.
So we're like, okay, we'll order 2 more so we can get the variant. And if you order 50, you'll get the special foil cover that Adam Marcus will probably buy when he comes in.
No,
Maybe not. Right around Eisner time when he's shooting a video, he gets real happy. He's been happy. I'm gonna just segue real quick. I made a joke because Ben ordered a Bruce Willis action figure that cost like $350. It was a GI from the GI. I'm like, what the fuck are you thinking, Ben? Like, it wasn't Snake Eyes. It was Bruce Willis. I'm like, nobody's gonna buy this thing. I'll sell this thing for $100. Nobody will buy it. And he was in earshot. He's like, $100. I'll buy it. I'm like, and we paid like $200 for it, right? So now I'm like, okay, how do we do the math here so I can stand by my statements, make the customer happy, and
drop it
and
it
prove
can
a point to Ben.
That's brilliant. That's actually,
drop it so it's broken in the box, and then send it back to the
that's
company
actually
and be like,
brilliant.
oh, so sorry it broke.
But then they'll send us because like we're the only store that ordered a Bruce Willis G.I. Joe figure.
Probably not.
Probably.
So
No,
how's
I
he
feel
doing
like
over
other
at?
people would
Is
buy
he
that.
looking good at the house?
Awesome. It just doesn't have anything that says G.I. Joe. It's Die Hard.
Did you take his clothes off and put him in John McClane clothes?
He's a totally different. It's a totally different figure.
He's
Oh, it's
right
not
up
a-
there with all the other figures that you've sold him.
I'm sorry, Deb. Those things are not cheap, but we sell them to Adam for cheaper than they are to most people.
That's true.
That makes you feel better. Bruce Willis was the gateway drug, too.
Bruce Willis is a gateway drug.
He is, yeah.
Wow.
If ever there was a quote.
That's a good hashtag.
Hashtag that, yeah.
He might show
Let's
up.
try to get that trending, okay, guys? Let's start hashtagging that.
The Yippee-Ki-Yay collection.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's why they do variant covers.
Okay.
It's a way to get stores to
order more copies.
I mean, they had this one that's Wolverine's gonna die. So like a year ago, they said order a ton of these because for every 2 you send back to us, we rip the covers off and send them back.
Yeah.
We're gonna send you one of this. We can't tell you what it is, but it's gonna be awesome.
It'll be his rebirth, right?
No, it's death. So they're already like preparing us to order books that we know we're not going to sell, so we can send them back to get this other thing that.
Cold.
That's kind of brilliant, but it's also like, again, like what Heidi Science Officer Sarah said, the law of diminishing. You know, when they do stuff like that, it's like when. Remember in the 80s when like the Punisher comic came out and it was really hot, and so then they added Punisher War Journal, and then they added Punisher War Zone, and I think at some point there might have even been a 4th title, but at some point it's like everybody that loved the character in the book was like, I'm done with this shit, and then they had to cancel all of them, wait a few years, and try to, I mean it took years to get it back, but I mean it's the thing, it's like they take advantage. I mean, maybe they don't all do it as much now, but it seems like, there's this idea that while it's hot, let's bleed it for everything that we can get, and then, we'll throw the dead husk away and wait a few years. And I mean, we all fall for it. I ain't falling for the banana in the tailpipe. They're not killing Wolverine. I don't care what anybody says. He'll be back in 3 to 6 months. There's no doubt about it.
With a cooler outfit.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I'm all about, like, I get a variant cover and I want it, and like I want like 1, maybe 2, but after that I'm just kind of like, can I do this? Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, enough is enough. It's just, it gets rude. It's hurtful because you save up all your allowance or
you get
whatever.
allowance still?
I mean, I did at some time, a long time ago, and I saved it for stuff that I wanted, like Buffy comics and enough. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I know what you mean.
So this is the one variant cover I will say I was really excited about, where the new Rick Remender book. I don't know if the drinking game is still going. It might be. So
Rick Remender, yeah.
So you might need to take a drink.
Why are you drinking?
We have this ongoing thing where whenever we say Rick Remender, you have to drink.
We say Rick Remender. In fact, I think we have to take 2 drinks now.
Yeah. Oh man, the people at home are just falling.
Yeah, catch up, girl.
So anyway, so his new. He Who Shall No Longer Be Named in the Interest of Sobriety has a new book out called Low, and the comic book has an exclusive variant cover. So I was very happy to get this. I'm not interested in the other cover.
Cover price, by the way.
I really just wanted to read the book, which I haven't read yet. But
well, I just read this, and
is it good?
It wasn't what I thought it was going to be, because Mikey was like, "Oh, this is about
was I wrong what it was about?
No, you were spot on what it was about.
Shit.
But you're like, it's about a civilization that has to move underwater, and I was kind of thinking like, ho hum, the first episode, I'd be like, oh, what do we do? Oh, how are we gonna make this work? And then by the end of it, people are getting kidnapped and like, all this crazy stuff, and I was like, this is badass, and it moves really fast, and I like the storyline, so I feel like it's something that people will really get into.
That's cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, he does that.
And the art is awesome.
He Who
and
Shall
I'm not
Not
talking
Be
about the
Named.
nudity.
Oh yeah.
No, that's some nice stylish sort of.
I love that
60s.
stylized. Yeah, exactly.
If you like the Captain America Hawkeye getting it on with Jet Black, you might be interested in this book. We talked about that.
Like the artwork is really beautiful in this one.
Yeah, it is. That's how do you say the artist's name?
Tocchini.
Okay.
Tocchini. Who's the writer?
Rick Remender.
Rick Remender.
Best writer in comics, I think.
I will drink to that. He's up.
Yeah.
He's definitely up there.
They did a book together a few years ago that's really good. We can't get it anymore. It's called The Last Days of American Crime.
I forgot about that book.
That
was before I knew the brilliance of He Who Shall Not Be Named.
Yeah, the government figures out a way to send out this signal to make people psychologically incapable of committing crime anymore. So this group gets together for one last big heist before the signal goes out. Great concept.
What was his name again?
Rick Remender.
Okay.
He did Fear Agent too. And
Actually,
you see what she's doing there?
I'm gonna time out.
You can drink independent of the name. The game doesn't mean that you can only. She's like, I'm thirsty. I need them to say this again.
Okay.
Actually, it's interesting, Jessica, that you bring up the Signal.
I don't have the
not the movie The Signal, but backup. Wow. Interesting, Mike, that you
Sean's
bring up
done.
a signal that is projected that does this. Oh, no. Go right ahead.
Okay.
So, I wanted to use that to segue. It made me think of something that Jessica and I were talking about before we started filming.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess this will just be like, it's very cool because Jessica and some of the people that are here, like I found some kinship in like things that I like or hate that most other people do not like or do not hate. I found kinship here. So we were talking about Dollhouse.
Yeah.
And you know, I just want to throw it out there because it's related. Did you read the Dollhouse comic that his brother?
I didn't.
It's good. I mean, it's you know, I mean, it's kind of like, it was really good. It continues the story and in a very good way. It pretty much point on where you think it would go.
Okay.
It's just hard. It's always hard for me to take something that starts in one medium and move it to another one. So it was a little difficult. I mean, that's all we're gonna get. But you know, I just wanted, because Dollhouse obviously, there's a whole signal element to the plot that basically like causes kind of a quasi-apocalypse. And I was just really glad that you liked it because nobody likes Dollhouse. Even Joss Whedon fans don't like Dollhouse. I think Joe Baxter, when I told him,
do you like it, Deb?
Yeah. Oh yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Love Dollhouse.
Anybody
That's
watch
why
Orphan
you're my
Black?
girl.
Love Orphan Black.
Dude, Tatiana is
I
like
need
the
to
most
watch
amazing.
I haven't
Oh my
watched it
God.
either, but I just read
Oh.
things
You
about
are
it.
missing out.
I hear like she
Yeah.
plays like 12 people.
Time. She's so
That got some
good.
audience reaction.
I've never even seen it, and I know she's getting robbed because she plays like 12 people.
She's brilliant.
amazing.
This chick is just outrageous.
Well, what I read today, I didn't know this. I'm a big fan of Ginger Snaps, werewolf movie.
Yes.
Dude, the
Scares
sequel
me.
is like one of the
Can't watch
greatest
it.
comic book movies,
So
not
she's
based on a
in
comic
the
book.
sequel. She's the
She
girl.
is?
Yeah, and
I
one of
haven't
the,
watched
so Orphan Black is created by two dudes. One of them was the guy that did Ginger Snaps.
I did not
And
know that.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
Did you know that?
We're buying
I did
that
not
shit
know
like
that, and
now.
I love Ginger Snaps.
I'm afraid of that.
Oh.
Ginger
Ginger
Snaps,
Snaps.
and I don't know if you got. I mean, those who've read Gone South probably see a big influence there. Maybe not.
I've never read Gone South, but Ginger Snaps is like,
Rick Remender wrote it.
really?
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, like when he writes, sometimes Rick Remender writes under the name Mike
Jesus, I
Wellman when he
can't
doesn't
pour
want,
fast
like,
enough.
because he doesn't want to be
You've been saying
judged.
Rick Remender, but then you
Oh.
never
But yeah,
drank.
you're not drinking.
Yeah, but the rest of us are drinking.
Yeah.
You know how Joe Hill doesn't go by Joe King because he
Yeah.
doesn't want to be known.
Well, he
as
doesn't
Stephen
need
King,
to.
so-
He's awesome.
Right, I know. So when Rick Remender doesn't want people to read his comics that he writes, he goes by the name Mike Wellman. So guns a-blazing. I need a beer.
We're gonna get the Guns a-blazing because I shot
And you
some
can hashtag
footage.
Rick Remender on there.
I shot some footage of the Guns a-blazing release party.
Okay, cool.
So we're gonna get to that in a minute.
We had a Rick Remender.
Oh,
Jesus.
sorry.
It's alright.
That's
He's
okay.
2
Not a lot of
down, he's
talking
4
there,
down,
so-
and I'm just here getting loaded, which is awesome because
Yeah.
it's Monday. So
Yeah, normally
So
I
there's
mean
that.
I wouldn't care except I'm waking up at 4:30 tomorrow.
It's
So.
okay.
you should have thought it through.
Yeah.
You didn't think it through.
And you have to drive home because we drove separately.
Oh shit. Let's go back to the he who shall
Sleep
not.
here, dude. I've done it before. That's what the couch is for.
Anyway, so we'll go, okay. Well, let's just go with the Guns a-blazing thing now because
Wait. No, I just want to go on a side tangent because you're talking about Dollhouse.
yes, that's right.
Which
Thank you.
I freaking loved, and you were talking about how the comics you thought did it justice.
Yeah, it really did. And I mean, you know, Dollhouse is. I mean, it's no surprise that it was cut off before it really ever started to get going because.
People don't want to have to think when they get home from work and they're eating their microwave meal. They want to sit there and just have stuff thrown at them that they can accept.
Yeah, I mean, and it was clearly shooting. You know, the way that when I saw the first episode, I wasn't blown away, and then I saw the second one, I wasn't blown away. But then I was like, wow, she's actually turning in a pretty good performance. She's have to play all these different kind of personalities as it revolves around, you know, the stable of people that are basically prostitutes. They're rented out. Not necessarily
Call
just
them what you want.
well, not necessarily for sex,
Tomato,
but you know,
tomato.
they'll rent them out. They basically implant whatever personality the person wants to rent. So if you need like a hostage negotiator, boom, there you go. Whatever. So she plays a lot of different. Elijah Dushku plays a lot of different kinds of people and characters, and so that got my attention because I was like, wow, I underestimated
She's
her in
awesome.
Buffy.
She's such an ass kicker.
Yeah,
I love her. I loved her the minute she popped onto Buffy. I was like, yes, Team Awesome, keep her, you know.
What does she do now? What is she on a show now?
I don't know what she's doing now. I feel like
She should be.
She has a development pact with one of the studios.
Does she?
Yeah.
Good. I hope it's
I love the fact that it's a like I feel like a development pact. The studio
better than
has to be
contract,
Wolfram
I
and
think.
Hart. It
She's
has
got
to be
Joss in her
Wolfram and
pocket.
Hart.
He's like, you need to make something happen for this chick because she's awesome. So.
Well,
I
I
think-
mean, it's not like there's not 50 Avengers she couldn't play, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. Good point. Yeah, well, there you go, Joss.
Hashtag.
But the thing I was gonna say is like when we were talking about like you know, continuing a story after it's taken from one medium to another.
Mhm.
Sometimes that lets me down,
Mhm.
and like you were saying, you know, it's hard to. But the thing that I enjoy most about like the comics that I like are that they don't try to do that. They
Right.
don't try to be like, this is what's really happening. It's like, no, here's a side quest. Here's an
Right.
adventure. Here's something that you can have as a bonus while you're you know what I mean? Like the kind of like
Right.
whet your palate, and that's what I
Yeah.
like. And then I like to read it and see if I agree with how they handled it, or if the logic makes sense to me, or if they messed anything up, so that I can be like, wrong, that wouldn't happen.
Right.
You know? But and that's kind of how like I decide when it comes to a comic. But I think that I really thought IDW did a great job with the series when they had Doctor Who. And what really sucks is my buddy was friends with some IDW peeps because some of my friends at Capcom, and he's like, I can get you all the Doctor Who comics forever. And then I was like,
They
you
lost
could
the
have,
license.
except that they don't have it anymore.
So you used to get them
So-
free?
No, he
Back in-
doesn't. He didn't tell me this until like June, and I was like, oh, that would be super cool if they still had the contract, which
Oh.
they don't. So right as I got like maybe the best Doctor Who contact of all times,
And
Yeah.
then
I
it was
lost
gone.
it, and then
Let me one up him
Now
because
here we are.
I know one of these guys. And
do you
at
know the
Titan-
Doctor?
I don't know the Doctor. No.
Whoa, I mean, look.
I don't know if I can get you free
Look,
Doctor Who
I
for
don't know.
life,
Has
though.
anyone noticed behind Mike there is a TARDIS?
TARDIS.
Many
Right
times.
there. So,
I
I mean-
noticed the TARDIS.
It's bigger on the inside.
Mm.
That's what they
I
say.
wore my Doctor Who shirt for you guys.
Oh yeah.
Oh, is that a Doctor Who
It
shirt?
says, "Trust me, I'm the Doctor."
Oh yeah, you did.
It's my one that I cut.
And what's
to be
on the
fancy.
necklace?
I don't know. Oh, that's just a dog tag.
Oh, it's
Nothing.
It's like a king heart.
Brett
Okay.
Michaels gave me this necklace.
I was
So
gonna.
I wore it for
So-
you.
Did he really?
Yes.
Okay, so here, this is something we should have done earlier, but
I
we
should've
should have.
brought my fucking
transition
guitar.
this up for you. It's
Should've
like
brought my
I'm
damn
running the
guitar.
show.
So
You
good.
guys, let me just do this.
So okay, let's talk about Jessica. What you've done. Tell us about
What did you
Okay.
do?
what did you do?
I don't want to admit to anything.
No, admit. Both.
What do you mean?
Well, so you were talking earlier about the show that you were on,
Mhm.
and you're no longer on.
Oh, that was the Mary Carey.
Oh, so I used to
thing.
co-host a talk show called Politically Naughty with my
Mhm.
girlfriend Mary Carey. She ran for the governor of California
Mhm.
ways back, and we knew each other from VH1 because we'd both done VH1 reality shows.
And that was the Brett Michaels.
Yeah, so I did Rock of Love with Brett Michaels, I did Charm School with Sharon Osbourne, I did a bunch of correspondent work for VH1, and that's kind of what kickstarted me into like the hosting entertainment
Okay.
world.
Right.
But that's how I met.
Except you actually worked and earned money rather than kickstarted. But go ahead.
Right, but yeah,
Sorry.
and I would just like to note that since today I was talking with some of the haughty science officers earlier about how an article came out about where the Rock of Love girls are right now, and I was kind of irked because I thought VH1 did us dirty because they only like hit on like the trashiest chicks in the show. I mean, the chicks who are doing less than some other people. And I think it's funny
Like
because they
here.
want to like skew it to make it sound like, you know, oh, if you did this show, clearly you're, you
Right.
know, ignorant slut. But there are a couple people that are less ignorant and just kind of slutty. So I feel like that should be recognized as well, you know?
Wait.
Stay with me, stay with me.
Okay, all right, I'm there. All right. Cool.
No, I'm just kidding. But so they kind of, I thought VH1 kind of, you know, was kind of not cool to us. So shame on you, VH1, because some of us actually do cool stuff. And yeah, it came out today, and of course they don't talk about me or any of my friends who
You're doing too
are-
much cool stuff.
But they don't want it to look like that.
Yeah,
like that
right.
doesn't sell. Like those aren't the
That's
people
not-
that
that's
are
boring.
successful
Success is
and
boring.
at like being awesome at living. Don't you know? Give them any. You
Well,
know,
I mean, like
kudos.
last episode, Vince Hernandez from Aspen was talking about watching reality
Yeah, he was.
TV, and he was like, you know, hey, I want to know that people like fuck up and have, you know, and mess up
makes
their
me
lives.
feel better
or-
about my life.
Yeah,
I heard
yeah.
him saying all
And-
that, and I feel the same
And
way.
I mean, that is very much like I feel like I'm very unfamiliar with reality TV.
I don't watch it anymore either, so you're fine.
I mean, I'm very much
There's not
unfamiliar
much reality in it. Either, by the way.
well,
I
that's
don't think.
true. I'm very much unfamiliar with a lot of TV. Period. Like anything that I see is, you know, basically like DVD or whatever.
This is
But-
reality TV.
Right,
Like,
yeah,
watch
this
it on
is-
TV.
yeah.
This is it's how we really are.
Yeah,
all
it
day
is.
long.
It is.
Real life.
Yeah.
But that does seem to be, you know, I mean, well, there's a reason why well,
So did you want to act before that happened? Or
No,
that's
I
where-
mean, like I had done. I was always like the lead in the plays and stuff.
Okay.
I was working in. I was the project manager at an IT consulting firm,
Okay.
and then was the director of marketing for a series of nightclubs in Scottsdale. So I ran all of their VIP everything. I did all and had no intention of ever going into any of it. I mean, I did like modeling, but yeah, it kind of happened by accident. I fell into it. Like they literally probably called me 4 or 5 times to do Rock of Love, and finally I was like, oh, all right, what does this mean? And now I'm like, if I would have known then what I know now, I wouldn't have even let myself do it because I would have been too fearful of like all the the editing that goes into it and the Frankenbites and all this stuff. Like you can really get yourself, and I would have never done it. I was just lucky enough to be smart, and when a producer would pull me aside and ask me a question, I'd be like, oh, go home. I don't know if that's a good idea, and then do whatever the hell I wanted instead. You know what I mean? But
they would ask you. They would try to like steer you into doing certain things.
Well, on all all reality stuff, it's like you have a team that's just making sure that everything's flowing. You know what I mean? So I just was like, I mean, this means nothing to me. I'm going to do what I want, and in the end, it ended up being better for me because if you listen to the coaching, honestly, Brett's awesome. Like I really dig Brett. But if you know what I mean, if you listen to the coaching or like the people that are trying to help you are usually generally not like your best.
They're not really trying to help you. They're trying to help the show. They're not trying to help you.
Right. And I get that, and that's cool, and they can do that. But I don't like it.
Someone on Facebook has a question for you.
Okay.
Christian.
This is first, by the way. This is a Drinking with Comics first.
No,
it's Rock of Love related. He said he's like, would you have gotten a tattoo of Brett's name like Heather did under the same circumstances? Or
I would not get a tattoo of David Tennant's name if he wanted to marry me. I would not get a TARDIS tattooed on me. But
what if they
I'm
threw
not
in
a
a
tattoo
life
person.
subscription of Doctor Who?
I would maybe get like a henna tattoo then, but
good answer.
No, but I'm not a tattoo person either. I don't have any tattoos or piercings. So Heather's awesome, but she's like way more fly by the seat of her pants. Like that chick will like party and then make bad decisions, and then you have to hear about it.
You have her number?
Heather, yeah.
Cool, let's call her.
Yeah.
So you guys aren't keeping up with Doctor Who, or what's the deal here?
School us about Doctor Who.
Yeah, you should probably school us.
I mean, like, you've got a TARDIS.
But
and
I
you
didn't
don't
put
watch
that there.
Doctor Who. Well, who did?
Did the doctor
Daniel.
actually crash that in here?
Yeah,
I
didn't. I thought that was just a phone booth.
You just go in there to make calls when you want privacy.
Well,
you're
we all have our different passions.
Come out and it's like 1746. You're like, where's Daniel? And somebody's like, ugh.
You'll never be late for work if you have a time machine in your.
I would actually still probably manage it.
Yeah.
I just think it's kind of weird that you guys both will admit to how awesome Buffy is, and
I
you
didn't
have
say
not.
that.
Oh, you didn't.
No,
it's amazing. You should say it's amazing.
Well, how do you feel about Buffy?
I haven't watched it. I haven't watched it.
Are you
I thought that she lost too much weight after season 1.
Yeah, but regardless, it's good.
So, how much have you seen?
I've
not seen the whole series.
I think that just solidified how much I love you.
Oh, really?
Yes.
No, she got really like too skinny. Like, thank you, Sarah.
Yes. You've been blessed.
I kind of felt.
I honestly don't remember how skinny she got.
I fell backwards into Buffy. I was telling Jessica before we started shooting.
That gets a hashtag.
A friend
too.
of mine.
I fell backwards in the Buffy. Okay, go ahead.
A friend of mine who runs one of the amazing fantasy comic shops in Chicago lent me like the first 4 episodes of the first season. This is like 10 years ago. I watched it. I'm like not into this at all. She then ended up really liking it. So Sarah got into it. She watched it all, and it was one of those things where it's like, I'm gonna read or whatever. So here's me. She's watching Buffy, and I'm like reading. And then same thing would happen with Angel, and I'm like, whatever. And she loves David Boreanaz and just goes, sweet David Boreanaz. So I'm like, whatever, yeah. So there was this moment watching Angel, and this is where I became a Whedon fan. I'm sitting there reading, and it's the episode where Angel's baby gets taken in the future. So I'm like, wait a minute, he's gonna show back up as like a teenager? And Sarah's like, how do you know that? I'm like, it's cable. And that was when I realized Joss Whedon.
Oh, he's a big comic fan.
But he's specifically a huge. I think. I mean, I would actually put money on this. I think he's a huge Chris Claremont Uncanny X-Men fan.
Right.
And I think that you see a lot of it in Dollhouse.
Call us if you have insider scoop on this.
I mean, Dollhouse is basically. There's a lot of it that's Days of Future Past. The comic, maybe not the movie. I mean, maybe the movie you can see the translation, but. It's apocalyptic future, and you're seeing where the people are and how they got there, and blah blah blah.
Rick Remender's a huge Chris Claremont fan,
I need a beer.
Take a drink.
I need a beer.
Oh, shoot, sorry.
Please.
Perhaps
but
you should also have some water.
I have some. I have actually been drinking.
Science officer Sarah.
Well played.
Thank you. Thank you. I have more water now.
So we gotta stop saying Rick Remender because we only have one beer
dude.
left. Oh shit.
I'm willing to share my gluten-free beer.
May I see you? Thank you.
Mhm.
How did you get this again? That's crazy. You're
mean?
like, you have a magnet?
I
turn my back and no, I'm just.
Anyway.
So anyway, but I will say I have not seen all of Buffy.
Okay.
I've seen all of Angel. I like Angel better.
Mm-hmm.
But Buffy's really good. Like it really surprised me. Joe Baxter. Now, when I first met him, he said something. This is like about the time I started getting into it that helped solidify. Well, first of all, actually, I should go back and say it was not only the Chris Claremont thing that made me get into Joss Whedon, specifically Buffy, a little bit.
Go ahead.
Anthony Stewart Head. I saw Repo the Genetic Opera. I loved him, and I was
He's
like, I want to watch Buffy
He's
now.
so
Oh,
good.
is he on Buffy as well?
Yeah, he's Giles.
So
he's
good.
amazing.
Oh, okay.
And he's basically like grown-up Stewie from Family Guy, in a way.
Now he's on Dominion.
Is he? I don't even know what that is. Is he good?
It's the villain on Dominion.
Okay. I bought his CD, Music for Elevators.
Awesome. Well, I mean,
It's not him in a coffee shop playing Freebird, but
Should be.
I know. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What are you gonna say?
I was just gonna say that I think that the cool thing about like the style of Buffy, like how Buffy is shot, how it's kind of got that like B horror campiness to it, is part of what makes it so appealing. Because
Yeah.
if it took itself too serious,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
you would be like, another one, been
Well,
there, done that. But that's the same thing. That's how it translates into why I think I have such a love for Who. Like why I'm such a Doctor Who fan, because you either get it or you don't. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like
Mhm.
you either can like dig the campiness or you don't. And even some of the problems I've even had with how the series of Who has like developed on the big screen, like on BBC and not on comics, but is that the bigger the budget gets, I feel like
It
they
loses
lose
some of that.
They lose what I love about it, that campiness, that like feeling, and I'm really excited, and I'm gonna keep bringing it back to Who because it's what I do.
It's what you do. Oh,
And,
poet. You didn't know
And I'm as excited as I am for the 12th Doctor, because I think Peter Capaldi is going to be my favorite Doctor of all, and I will have said that for a couple of months now. Like I think he's going to be my favorite Doctor. Like Peter Capaldi, you're the one. Don't.
What
mess
makes you
this
think
up for
that?
me.
Yeah.
Because he brings it back to the roots of what Who started out as. He
Okay.
brings it back to the like essential Who, to the original Doctor, and I feel like that's really important to the series because this is the best way I can put it. I was at Comic-Con. I saw a little girl dressed as a TARDIS. And I was like, you have the best outfit here. And she was like, thank you. She had made the outfit. She was like 8 or 9 years old. And I'm like, are you actually a Doctor Who fan? She's like, oh, I love Doctor Who. And I was like, oh, the simple, like the basic, like, who's your favorite Doctor? Like talking to her like a child, which is rude. And she was like, oh, I like blah, blah, blah. No, and then we start talking and she's like, but I'm having some problems with Stephen Moffat and his writing. And I was like,
Oh wow.
when I have a child, it shall be like you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
a genius child. And I think that that was maybe the coolest moment of all of
That's pretty
Comic-Con,
cool.
because
Yeah.
I had this 8-year-old chick be like just ready to school me, even though she was saying exactly what I was thinking, which made her double awesome. But so I'm really excited for the new season to start in 2 weeks.
August
And
23rd. They say,
and hope
yeah.
that it gets back to the roots, and I think Capaldi will really help with that. And I've also read some interviews with Moffat where he had said that he understands where they kind of went wrong with the series because it went so mainstream and so predictable and did some things that is not typical Who.
Okay.
Did the show
And,
go wrong, you think?
I do think so a little bit. I think that some of what we love about it is it was always like very true to how time and space worked, but there was always that element of how does this cause and this effect interact down in the future, and they started making it so basic that it was like if everybody understands it right off the bat, then
Yeah.
you don't need it. And like I feel like the same thing with Dollhouse. I like to think.
Right.
Like,
Right.
let me think. Like, let me process it. You can tell me in the next episode, but let
Yeah.
me think about it in this episode, make my own decision, and see if if my neurons are firing or not.
Well,
You know what I
create the
mean?
conversation.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think that Moffat kind of figured that out now, so I am wondering how this next season is going to go.
Oh, interesting.
Did you watch Doctor Who before, like, Chris Eccleston?
That's what started me, was I started right with the reboot.
Okay.
And that kind of triggered my love, and then I rolled backwards from there. But I will say that a big problem I have with Doctor Who is that I feel like the Nerdist made it super popular. And I
Oh,
feel
it's
like
like literally the Nerdist Chris Hardwick.
I feel like they all were like, Doctor Who is great, and start with Eccleston, and don't worry about the past, and just, it doesn't matter that there's 50 years of entertainment that you can enjoy, and that there's all, you know what I mean, that there's this beautiful history of television in general that you could be enjoying. And I kind of don't dig that about the Nerdist. Like, there was an episode where they kind of talked about that, and one of the chicks that was like a Whovian on the panel was like,
#Nerdist.
was just like talking about, you could just start with Christopher, and I was like, I started with Christopher, and I wish that I would have had more background because I missed out on so much, and I thought like how ignorant she was to say that.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've been drinking.
No, let it out, get it out. It's what we do here.
Yeah.
The Nerdist
Fuck
tries
the Nerdist,
to make.
is what you want to say.
The Nerdist tries to make people who are like, they want everybody to feel like they're a nerd or a geek, but you're not. Like, it's not cool. Like, either you're a geek or you're not a geek. And I feel like they try to glorify this thing so that a chick puts on a bikini and glasses and suddenly that makes her a nerd. And I do not approve of that. I think that, okay, well, what did you do growing up? Like, how, like, were you in French club? Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, all of a sudden, everybody thinks they're Olivia Munn, you know what I mean? And they're not. Like, she's, like, sheer talent. But
Is she a real nerd?
Have you seen her ability to act and the things she can do? She's brilliant. Like, but not every chick who, like, wears a bikini and throws on glasses is a nerd, and I kind of feel like the Nerdist did us dirty in that. And they need to, like, go back to some roots so that those of us who always grew up in that subculture, can not feel like suddenly people who are actual nerds feel outcasts because they're not cool enough to be nerds now. Like, what the hell is that? Like, that's not cool.
That's what we always wanted.
This goes into what we were talking about last week with Vince and Sia again, where it's like they were saying how they feel like the thing with Comic-Con is the people that are the real nerds now are like, they don't want people to come in, even though like 10, 15 years ago they were like, wouldn't it be cool if all these people like this stuff? I mean, I totally get that, but at the same time, I'm one of those guys where, like, I like a band, and then when they blow up, I'm happy for the band, but after a while, I'm like, what the fuck, man? I was into this band. Yeah. Like, now, I mean, I remember in high school when it was like all the cheerleaders
like the
were
Beatles,
all of a sudden.
That's how I was, and then they blew
up.
The
Beatles?
Yeah.
The cheerleaders in high school, like, there was like 1989 or whatever. It was like long hair and like into Metallica, and then like the Black Album comes out, and they're all going to the concert. I'm like, are you serious? When did this happen? But we know where that animal went. But hashtag fuck Metallica. No, don't it.
I remember you were big into Coldplay too before they got
big. Oh yeah, big into Coldplay. I love that album.
Let's talk about Coldplay.
What's that? What's
Flowery Asses. For my money, it doesn't get any better.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting. There is a tug of war with kind of like the. I don't want to say the rights to nerd culture. You know what?
I love that it's getting attention. I love that suddenly there's a show about comic books on TV, and I love that.
What show is that?
It should be this show.
Well, I don't watch it, but.
Oh, is it The Big Bang Theory?
No, I'm in Comic Book Man.
I'm
not. I know. I'm not.
No, that's okay. No, I don't like Big Bang Theory either.
But I'm glad that at least that there's enough popularity there that the things that are cool, like that are actually cool, get some attention. Yeah. But at the same time, I feel like you have to do things justice, and you have to like stay true to it. Like I get frustrated because I think things.
Also, well, take away everything that how you feel about that. Like somebody saying that the first 50 years of Doctor Who is irrelevant.
Right? Like, how do you even
that
say that?
In itself,
like, I'm sorry, I didn't realize those first, 40 odd years. Just throw them out. Like, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you're definitely a Whovian. You're a total expert on the show. Like,
really? The reason I haven't gotten into Doctor Who is because I have this disease called completionism. So
it is a real disease. Look it up on Wikipedia.
And so, like, if I'm afraid you'll find like it.
You will.
Yeah, and then what's gonna happen?
You'll have to watch it.
You will.
I'll have to watch it, and I'll have to get back 50 years of Doctor Who, like, DVDs. And then they don't just do TV shows, they do like radio specials. Like, I've been to Richard's house, I saw he's got like some of them are only on cassette, and I'll have to have all that shit. So
there's so much, you can go crazy.
And we got you have a question?
Oh yeah, we actually have a Facebook question for Jessica.
Of course. Nobody has questions for us.
It's Rockalova related again.
Okay.
But it's
wow, we did something right tonight.
It says, was Brett doing it for love or money and the hope to relight his dying celebrity fame? And was he real?
And that's from your friend in Ohio you just called.
No, Brett's an amazing guy. He's really sweet, He's the kind of guy you'll watch football with on like a Sunday afternoon, have a beer. He loves his family. He loves his girls. He is totally real and genuine. I think he was doing it for a lot of reasons. I think he wanted to see what was out there. He wanted to see if he could get a Downtown Brown happening right here. No, I don't know. But I think the bottom line was, you know, he took a stab at it. At that time in reality TV, he didn't really know how it would go. So I think he was open to the idea of maybe finding, you know, somebody that he could hit it off with. But I don't think he had expectations of necessarily that being his wife. I think he just wanted to kind of roll the die and see what happens. And if it worked out well, then great. And if not, then, you know, on to the next season.
Yeah, it lasted 3 seasons, didn't it?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Did you have more fun doing Charm School or Rock of Love?
I was by Charm School. I knew what was going on. I was more of a seasoned veteran, so I kind of knew how the game was played, which made it easier for me. But Rock of Love was just a really cool experience because most people will never, ever, even if you are a lead on a TV show for the rest of your life or a movie star, never know the difference. Like, reality TV is a totally different beast. So it's just kind of, it's insane. I mean, you don't have watches, you don't have clocks, you don't have phones, you don't have televisions, you don't have radios, you don't have magazines. You have no contact with the outside world.
Oh, wow.
You can't control the lighting in your room. You go to bed when they want you to go to bed.
It's like being in prison.
It's basically like being in this, it's like being in boot camp. You can't relate unless you've done it. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it was a wild ride. I have no regrets, but it was definitely...
Wasn't it a lot of booze and no food?
There was tons of alcohol. Tons of alcohol
I think we'd fit in.
Yeah. I mean, what
I kind of want to date Brett now.
How long did you film for? Like, how long is a season, like, in real life?
I was there till, like, 3 episodes were left or something. So, like, 11 or 12 episodes, and we shot that in about a month.
Oh, okay.
But you don't leave. You're there.
That's a long time without
You're
a
there
phone
for a month
or anything.
straight.
No phone?
We had a house
no
phone.
Okay.
So you could call your family, because they want to be able to monitor everything. They want to hear what's going on.
Oh, so you can't, like, can you Facebook and stuff?
Nothing. You have no access to the internet.
Wow.
And once you run it off with CC.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, Cece's the sweetest.
I bet it is.
But yeah, so I mean, it's really, you're in there, and it's like, it is, you know, and then you come out and you're like, oh, the world's been moving on, and I thought it, you know, had no idea. So, yeah, I mean, I loved shooting Rock of Love because it was just such a different beast. But Charm School, I kind of knew what was up, so I feel like a little of the magic had worn off in the idea of I knew what I was doing and I knew what my ultimate plan was.
What is your ultimate plan?
Well, for that one, it was to win all the money.
No, I mean, like, right now.
Right now it's to be Oprah and take over the world.
Oh, you want to have, like, a talk show?
I knew she was going to say take over the world.
World domination. Like,
that's what you
like
say when somebody says what your plan is. You say...
World domination.
Okay.
Anything less would, you know, be lame.
Chris Gore, this is my favorite Galactus story. Because you know what? In like 5 years...
When we're all living under Jessica's rules.
Yes.
We were forced to watch Doctor Who.
Like low.
And underwater, yep. Watching Doctor Who every day.
Missing Archie because he sacrificed himself, which you can read more about in Life with Archie.
He'll be back.
Really? So now he dies trying to take the bullet that kills Wolverine, right?
No, he took the bullet.
Yeah,
he didn't try.
He saved his gay friend.
So yeah, but you wanted to talk about that.
Oh no, well, so when I was at Comic-Con, I hung out with Paul Kaminsky, who is the executive editor of all of the Archie comics, and this guy is so cool. Mm-hmm. And I was telling him I hadn't read Archie in a long time, but I knew that they always tried to stay relevant by covering issues that they thought, like, you know, that were in, you know, currently, you know, being discussed in society and especially with young people, which I really appreciate. And I had known that they had done this thing where Archie took a bullet for his friend and he was gay. And I was like, Paul, like, that seems really like a big ploy. Like, that's kind of straight, like, oh, yeah, he's saving his gay friend. Oh, you know. Right. And Paul was like, honestly, we got really lucky on that because it wasn't planned, but it happened so beautifully that it worked out wove into the story. And I thought that was cool, and I respected that. And I mean, of course, they're like, oh, they're probably writing and like, oh, and then he dies, but he does it because, you know, he has a gay friend or whatever. And I think that's kind of cool, and I appreciate that, you know, Archie's been around for how many years now? Like
60 years, 65.
Longer than Who? Yeah. I mean, you know, it's like the comic that everybody started out with. It's the one comic you could find in the grocery store as you were leaving.
You can still find it in grocery stores.
Yeah, and they find ways to stay relevant, and I think they're a great starter comic. Mm-hmm. And I think that they're also really great at, once you kind of like latch onto a storyline with them, you enjoy it, and you don't feel like dirty afterwards or anything. You know, it's like very wholesome, and anybody can read it, and you don't have to, you know what I mean?
It's also a good starter for girls.
Yeah, and I started with Betty and Veronica when I was young. Like, that's the very first comic I ever read. I read Betty and Veronica every single week. Like, I would get it on the newsstand with my dad, and I'd be like, oh, I don't have that one yet, and I'd always do it. And I think that's really cool, and I really appreciate, like, there's longevity in that, and I just, you know, and it was cool to get to talk to Paul about it, and, you know, to talk about how their business plan works, and I really respected that.
And I mean, they hit on 2, you know, hot topics in this country: gun control and, you know, just being gay.
Well, I mean, the interesting thing too is
it's a hot topic.
The interesting thing too is if you look at the cover, I mean, it doesn't look like an Archie comic, right? It looks like it would be, you know, but when you look inside, it looks like an Archie comic.
It
so
does.
They did this story.
They did a bunch of variants. Well, but they did some amazing.
But they did the story with the Archie art.
Archie.
So that's really interesting because it's not like it's, you know, I mean, Batman's been drawn a bunch of different ways or whatever. This is like, no, this is still, you recognize it. And you're like, oh yeah, that's like what Archie looks like.
Right.
But they pull the story off with that art. So that's
this series, Life with Archie too. I just want to say it's like him as an adult.
Right.
And it's a flip book usually. So it's like, what would happen if he married Betty? What would happen if you wound up with Veronica?
So it's like
you
the
flip it over.
Okay.
Yeah.
And neither one ends well, obviously, because he
they're
gets shot.
both sad.
So
it's neat.
Is that a spoiler?
well, no, it was
No,
a good
because I
news
think
story. Have you guys read Afterlife with Archie?
No, but we've talked about it.
So good.
I've heard it's good.
Really good stuff. Yeah, Francisco Francavilla is the artist.
Yeah, the artist.
And it's I'll show you before you leave. It's awesome. Yeah. And it's not like after he gets shot. It's not like what happens with his ghost. It's a whole other. It's like a Walking Dead meets Archie.
Yeah, it was
thing.
like Marvel Zombies, but Archie.
Yeah, but I think actually cooler than Walking Dead right now.
I don't know about that, but cooler than the TV show easily, but not the comic.
Comics are still amazing.
Yeah,
that's what I need to pick up. I just need to read the Walking Dead comics.
Yeah, I
didn't,
There's a bunch.
and now I'm kind of regretting not having started that when Adam told me to.
Don't pull your hair out with the show where you're like, oh, wow. Well, how was the last episode really good and the next 3 are just shite? Okay, so on that note,
yes,
we're gonna end because it's.
Real quick before we end. So, what do you do now? You have a series of cards, correct?
Oh, the Benchwarmer cards. So I really want to bring in some cards here. I do a series of trading cards.
Oh.
They're essentially hot chick trading cards. Like, that's what they are.
Cool.
But I want to try to work into like a comic bug exclusive. So maybe we can like do a card that we can offer when people come in and like our
maybe you'll be in a superhero
purchasing.
suit or something.
Yeah, and we have to discuss that because we can figure that out.
Okay.
But yeah, it's really neat if you're a collector and you're into that sort of thing. They're wholesome. There's they're not like too scantily clad. They're the sort of things where it's like.
How many bench warmers are there?
I think there's like 600. But this company's been around for about 10, 15 years, so there's about 600 models.
Can we get like 12 good ones and do a calendar maybe?
We can.
Just a thought.
We do a lot a stuff. So
Did you guys buy
they're
one?
pretty neat. They're it's neat. It's fun.
Enough?
It just depends on if you're into collecting. You know, if you're a collector and that's your niche, then you would be into it. You know, it's a very niche marketing that they're going after. It's not like a wide.
Is there a website that people can visit?
I think it's just benchwarmer.com or benchwarmercards.com.
So anyway, so we're going to end, but while we end, I wanted to circle back. We're going to end with a quick segment where, Mike, your book, Guns A-Blazing, #2 came out. It's you and Raphael.
It is.
What's Raphael's last name?
Navarro.
Sorry, Raphael.
It's okay.
It's great. I read it. I bought it. But so I came in the day of the release, and I shot a little footage, and we'll edit together some kind of a montage, and we'll go out with that. So, before we get to that, I'd just like to say thank you very much, Jessica.
Thanks for having me,
Good luck with the
guys.
Benchwarmers.
Woo! That was awesome. High five.
Thank you, everybody. So, guys, talk to me about Guns A-Blazing #2.
All right, Mike, you start. I'll intervene afterwards. So.
2,000 light years from home, Raphael chose the title. It's based on an old Rolling Stone song.
From Her Majesty's Satanic Request.
That's right. Man after my own heart.
Oh, man. I love that album.
Calamity. It's just a party and a pamphlet. This is my son, Graham.
Hey, Graham.
We just
He's a party on top of his back, basically.
Human monkey bars.
Caveman adventures.
Well, I'm the pet dog when it comes to the family
Dinosaurs. What else is in here, Graham? My son had a criticism on the book. He said that we need to fight more and that we're always losing.
Okay. Okay.
Any resemblance to a person's living or dead is purely egotistical.
Nice.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm really interested. Mike, when the first one came out, that was my exposure to it. I know there was something of a Zero issue I still haven't read.
There's a free comic day issue.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah.
But after I read the first one, I have all kinds of ideas about what the big picture might be.
Okay.
I'm sure they're all wrong, but you know what? I always love when there is a big picture that I don't know what it is.
Let's hear what your ideas are, and we'll just smile knowingly.
No, it's.
I'm smiling already.
I don't want to go there because I just want to know. But I want you to reveal it to me slowly.
Okay, there is a big picture though. Yes.
I know. You talked to me a little bit about it. That's why I don't want to say anything because I don't know if I'm going to say stuff. You didn't give me any specifics, but you did say some stuff, and I don't know.
God, I must have been drunk.
If there might have been, maybe, it might have happened.
Loose lips, sink ships.
Yeah, that's true. So, all right, well, congratulations. The book looks great, and
Cheers.
there you go. Cheers.
Thanks for coming out.